What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barracks here, the digital storyteller, and I'm super excited to be with you for another episode of Cinecut, where we'll be talking about the one and the biggest mistake that people make all the time in this industry. I'm talking about what we do as cinematographers, as digital storytellers, as filmmakers, the constant mistake that we make. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go. Woo! One of the things that's really bothered me for a long time in this industry, being a digital storyteller, being a creative, is the creative's reliance or dependence on the gear that either they don't have or the newest, freshest wave of gear that they just purchased. When I started about a million years ago, no, for real though, I started as a digital storyteller, content creator about 12 to 15 years ago. There was a lot of things going on. Digital cameras were just really coming to the forefront in terms of photography. And I remember the era of the 5D Mark II. And when the 5D Mark II came out, it totally changed everything. It was like an Apple move from like 84, but they did it in like 2007 or 8 or whatever else. And when the Mark II came out, the 5D Mark II came out, and you were able to get cinematic images in a small form factor, it really changed everything. And the reason why it changed everything is that it allowed the masses to have tools that were accessible to create things that looked like the cinematic work that we saw on the big screen. And with that came an influx of innovation and technology and inventionhood that came out of left, right, center, back, forth, all around us. And some stuff were really good tools and other stuff weren't great tools. But I remember entering the industry and saying to myself, I want to buy as much gear as possible because that's going to make me a better storyteller. That's going to make me a better filmmaker. People are going to look at me in a legitimate way and I'm going to feel good about myself. Little did I know I was playing into sort of the narrative of I'm as good as my gear. 10 to 12 years later, I still see that narrative being played out. There are so many people feel like if they don't have the latest camera or if they don't have the latest tech, the latest computer, the latest lens, the latest light, that they can't create or they're not as good as such and such. And I really want to debunk that. That has been an Achilles heel for me and a lot of people that I've known and I've seen. And I don't want that to be something that aborts your dreams or aborts your ambition. You need to know that you're dope regardless of if you have a 7-year-old camera or you have a brand new camera that nobody else in the world has. The reality is that those are just tools. Those are only extensions of what's inside of here. So if there's no good idea inside of here, then there's no good idea that's going to come out of that camera. It doesn't matter how much money you spent on it. That's number one. Number two, and more importantly, let's stop being so dependent and reliant on the new piece of gear that we need to use all the time. I'll give you an example. I remember when I first came into the industry, the biggest thing, the number one thing that everybody told me I need to get was a follow focus. What was a follow focus? I didn't really know what a follow focus was. It had like it had a giant gear. It had a little ring here and you twisted this and this ring kind of connected to that. And then it kind of moved my focus around. And I felt like, you know what? Man, if I could get this follow focus, I would be amazing. And I spent the money, I think it was like maybe $500, $600 on like this whole sort of rig kit. And you know what happened? I used the follow focus maybe 3 or 4 times. And I was just like, I don't want to spend an hour trying to set up this rig every time I go on a shoot. I want to go and I want to film and I just want to do my thing. And if I'm going to use my hand, I'm going to use my hand, and that's okay. But the follow focus wasn't the end all or be all in terms of defining whether or not I was professional or not, or whether or not I could create my art. The next trend and the next phase and the next era that I saw was the slider. And everybody told you that you need to buy a slider. There are sliders coming out of the woodworks everywhere. I remember I bought my first slider. It was like some Vietnamese company or something like that. And it was a great slider. But I realized that I would always bring it to every shoot. And on every shoot, I would always have to have a slider shot. On every wedding, for every promotional video, for every life event, I need to get a slider shot. And I realized, like, I don't want to always bring the same tools, because maybe that tool is not really important to tell this story. And really, maybe I should just focus on telling the story really well, and based upon the story that I'm developing, that will determine what tools I use. I don't bring my FS5 to a wedding or every wedding I go to, because I don't need to bring my FS5. Or just like I don't bring both of my lights to every single shoot I go to, because maybe I don't need both of my lights. I honestly feel like you should think about that in your pre-production preparation. So that's another point. Then we got to a phase where it was the glide cam transitioning to the gimbal phase. Oh, gimbal. Ooh, gimbal. Okay, listen, I fell into this phase too. I bought a glide cam, loved the glide cam, worked really well. I used it quite a bit. But when the gimbal came out and it was affordable, I was like, I just have to have it. I don't even care if I need it or not. I just have to have it. So I ended up buying the Moza Air. And I remember buying the Moza Air and feeling like, wow, now I'm like the cool guys on YouTube. Now I can really make the films that I want to make. Now I can tell the stories that I always wanted to tell. And the reality was, it didn't change who I was. It didn't change my values. It didn't change the way I saw the world. It was just another tool. And it was a tool that I started to use, and I started to use it a lot, to the point where then all of my videos looked the same as well. They all had a glide cam shot. And I noticed with a lot of people, everybody has a gimbal shot. Everybody has, you know, everything is super like smooth and super slow motion, and everything is rocking super smooth, and that's not life. You and I know that's not life. I think that it's really important to take an inventory on what story you're trying to tell and what type of creative you want to be. Do you want to be the one that's super dependent on all of these tools that are really just trends that will come and go like fads, you know, diet fads and things of that nature? Or do you want to see things for what they are and respect the tools, but don't allow the tools to define and shape you as a creative? And I think that's what I'm trying to say. I challenge myself. Sometimes I go out to shoots and I only bring one lens. And it's not because, you know, this is not a super important shoot, but it's because I want to stretch myself as a creative. I understand the dynamics of things. You can't do it for every single shoot, but for certain shoots, I'll only bring one lens. I'll only bring, you know, my monopod. I may not even bring, you know, a light for certain situations, because I want to stretch my creativity. I want the intellect of my creative brain to really start doing some calculations and figuring out how I can grow and expand my knowledge. And I do that strategically. I don't do it again for every shoot, but I do it for the ones that I know I can be uber creative on and that I can get away with it on. So my encouragement to you is just continue to thrive, continue to be creative, continue to focus in on the things that you're passionate about, but don't be overwhelmed or overtaken by dope gear or expensive gear or new tech or new cameras. Let that be an extension of the story that you're trying to tell from your brain. Thank you so much for watching again. Have a wonderful day. I would love to hear your comments below. Talk to you later. Peace. Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barracks here, the Digital Storyteller, and I'm super excited that you took the time to watch one of my videos. I really appreciate it. If you don't mind liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos, I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.